Hello, dear compatriots, another political crossroads on the air. And this is already our second broadcast. And during this program, we will again focus on an important international event. To be honest, it's such a chaotic time. Right now, especially these past couple of days, I want to title our broadcast with just one word, Babylon. But since that description might become unclear, we won't be using such a title. But really, the world is very mixed up, and what is happening right now raises quite serious concerns. I think for any normal person. We don't even get the headlines. But it's really very messy. The world is very messy, and what's happening now is causing quite serious concern. I think for any normal person. As for Armenia, let me quickly say that the main topic of discussion and the important news is that the Minister of Defense of Armenia, Suren Papikyan, visited Munich to participate in the Munich Security Summit and important meetings with the defense ministers of partner countries are scheduled there. There is nothing else to discuss regarding Armenia and Azerbaijan. There is an important issue to discuss, and it concerns the Armenian version of the BBC, which may be blocked in Azerbaijan. In fact, just as the Russian diaspora in Azerbaijan can block the BBC in Azerbaijan, so can the Azerbaijani version. I think that assessments in the area are unnecessary here too. It is a very interesting event. In fact, it happens everywhere. Similar events are also occurring in Moldova, where there are risks of blocking, creating a domino effect in Moldova. But I repeat, the most interesting events right now are centered around the phone conversations between Trump and Vladimir Putin. There are various evaluations and many negative assessments from European countries, also from Ukraine. The German defense minister made a statement in that regard, which is very bad, because before the start of negotiations between Russia and the United States of America has already removed those issues that concern the territorial integrity of Ukraine and Ukraine's membership in NATO. That is, before the negotiations begin, it seems that this issue is already being removed, that these issues can be negotiated. These issues are actually excluded, and this is being done specifically by Trump. In addition to them, there are also perceptions from the British Ministry of Defense where there is significant tension in Great Britain among its European partners. However, the Russians seem to be encouraged by this. I don't want to quote Medvedev's words and assessments, but he has expressed himself very harshly regarding Europe, essentially saying that you are no longer needed. I can agree with the United States, meaning that the United States and Russia. But if we get more specific, Trump and Vladimir Putin are going to decide Ukraine's fate, not just Ukraine's fate, but also the fate of the European Union and European countries. This is because the new US Secretary of Defense has also made a statement that European security is based on this complex geopolitical situation. They cannot fully ensure security and will mainly focus on countering China. I want to reiterate the point that it's very difficult to analyze the situation right now, especially regarding Trump's policies. It's hard to make sense of things. In the first days, we had completely different perceptions. Now, our views are changing due to new statements and new approaches. And in fact, the parties have instructed, and this is also confirmed by Peskov, that a meeting should be held very soon between Trump and Vladimir Putin. But Peskov also said that there were no discussions on the exchange of territories or any issues related to the Donbas or Crimea. That is, Trump did not discuss anything like that with Vladimir Putin, but there is also quite a lot of enthusiasm from the Russian foreign minister. He indeed expressed satisfaction regarding that phone conversation. Regarding Ukraine, There are specific Ukrainian responses indicating that no agreement has been reached between the US Secretary of Commerce and the President of Ukraine. Ukraine has not signed any documents, and it seems that the US Secretary of Commerce returned to the United States empty-handed. This is also very interesting. You remember some. The United States demanded $500 billion export metals from Ukraine, and in addition to them, Zelensky made a statement saying that there can be no solution without Ukraine and Ukrainians. In this war, he expressed great gratitude and said words of great appreciation to the United States of America, saying that the greatest support came mainly from the United States, but we cannot ignore Europe, and we cannot overlook Ukraine in terms of negotiations. The Mill publication also writes that negotiations are currently taking place without Ukraine and Europe. As far as I understand, Zelensky's position on this issue is clear. Both Europe and Ukraine must participate in the negotiations, and without Europe and without Ukraine, those negotiations are pointless and unacceptable. However, at the same time, I see quite serious concerns regarding the situation in European countries, as I mentioned, and in Ukraine. There is also important information that US Secretary of State Marco Rubio will be visiting the Middle East. This will happen right after the Munich Security Conference, with visits to Israel, the United Arab Emirates, and so on. He will be visiting several countries in one go. The Secretary will be visiting the Middle East and will discuss issues related to the region. I think this is also important, and we should expect some interesting announcements regarding the Middle East in the coming days. If we try to analyze in general what is happening right now, I'm coming back to the idea that the new President of the United States is more focused on China. From all those statements, it's clear that they want to contain China, and there might even be a deal made with Russia, for the sake of making it easier for the United States to carry out operations against China. Mainly economic, and why not also military deterrence, whatever measures, and the main target, the main attention will be paid to China, and that is why Trump will be celebrated. It is very important for Donald Trump to end this war as soon as possible. Naturally, the fact that this is happening behind the backs of the Europeans, and it also turns out that it may also happen behind the backs of Ukraine, is very worrying. We still have nothing to say about the South Caucasus. There is nothing to say about the Middle East either. I don't think that Russia. There is a strong desire to enter the Middle East, but the situation regarding the South Caucasus is completely different. And we need to understand what Vladimir Putin's intentions are concerning the South Caucasus. In other words, what will they discuss regarding the South Caucasus? Their meeting with Trump is extremely important for us. The fact is that it concerns Trump. Ukraine will not give up on its sovereignty. At least all these statements show that on the remaining issues of Russia, one can say all the demands will be fulfilled. If we judge from this statement, the new presidential elections, the territories of the territories will remain under Russian sovereignty. Russia will be able to declare that whether the oil will be visited, what was said about such water. No, the statement will awaken the Africans and who knows what else. Who will decide whether the territories will remain in Russian hands and whether they will become a member of NATO? But at the same time, Ukraine will defend its own sovereignty and independence over the territories now controlled by Ukraine. Well, I don't want to give an assessment of what this means in general, but at least it is good to the extent that Ukraine, as a state, will be able to protect, preserve, or rather, its independence. And I say this because it is also important for us, for Georgia, Armenia, and why not, also Azerbaijan, since Azerbaijan is located in the South Caucasus. I don't think it will make it any easier for us to maintain our independence if Azerbaijan is used as an example by Russia. Regarding the burden on Armenia, it is very important for the South Caucasus to maintain its sovereignty, and it seems that the Azerbaijani authorities are specifically heading in that direction. As for Georgia, I can add that the European Parliament has adopted a new resolution calling for new sanctions against the Georgian Dream. Regarding all those connected to the Georgian authorities, the European Parliament has adopted such a resolution, which has already condemned the Prime Minister of Georgia, Irakli Garibashvili. Regarding the issue of Vastan, I can only add that demonstrations continue in Georgia on a daily basis. But as for the rest, by and large, there is no other information or other interesting event in Georgia. I think that's all, dear compatriots. Just concluding this program, I will say once again that tensions are growing between the European Union and the United States of America in Ukraine. The uncertainty between Armenians and the United States is increasing more and more. Regarding Russia, on the contrary, it seems that Russia and the United States are starting to understand each other better and are beginning to negotiate better about the New World Order. This, of course, is a preliminary assessment, and I will reiterate that it reflects Trump's policies quite well. It's difficult to make assessments. Let's wait for that meeting to take place and wait for a new announcement. And I just hope that after the light of day, we will better understand what kind of policy Trump will implement, what the interests of the United States are, and where we stand as independent states. This is about Armenia and Georgia. We can seek our national and state interests within the framework of today's broadcast. That's all, compatriots. I urge you to like this video, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe to our channel. You can also like our English videos. It's crucial for these videos to start spreading and becoming noticeable in the YouTube algorithm. The visibility of our Armenian broadcasts should not be diminished because of the videos. That's why these next few days and the coming weeks are very important for the success of our new program, the synchronized translation into English, so that we can later move on to other languages, as well as the YouTube algorithms. The visibility of our Armenian broadcast should not be diminished because of the videos. That's why these next few days, and to be honest, the coming weeks are very important for the success of our new program, the synchronized translation into English, so that we can later move on to other languages. Of course, that's all for today. Take care, and we'll meet again.